Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. So, we're going in deep again for the next one that is part of the unspoken truths. So, obviously, these are a bit more serious than that. So, not fun and games, but we're having fun discussing it. Okay, so this episode, I don't know why I said fun, sorry. I'm getting tired. I'm doing these in succession because I've got some for a few 3 hours, but I've just shattered. um, right, so this episode is obviously, like you would have read, about gentle parenting when you're raising chaos. And I did touch upon this a little bit in the last episode, but I think it's a generational thing, and I think obviously our generation seems to be breaking cycles, but we're doing it without the blueprint because for so many years it's just been the same cycles playing. So this one really is about us parents and trying to parent in a way that we've never experienced before. There's no script for this. There's definitely no emotional map for this. It's just raw intention and learning self-awareness and essentially stumbling your way through love, really. So I thought I'd start by letting you know I definitely wasn't raised in a home with gentle parenting. I don't blame my parents. I think they were parenting how they were taught to parent, essentially, and there was nothing telling them that to parent any other way. I was essentially raised in a house where it was essentially control, fear, punishment, and if you don't like it, emotional shutdown. And that is something that I'm trying to do the opposite with my own kids. As I sort of touched upon in the last episode, you will have learned that I've got a bit of a rocky relationship with my son because I think I started off parenting in that way, and because it was all I knew, and I think I'm starting to learn how to parent more wisely, more openly, less fear. But it is so hard. Like, it's so hard to parent so differently when you were parented in a way that put your nervous system into complete and utter survival. And I do genuinely think that is a massive reason why a lot of our generation does have mental health issues and a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, because I think how we were parented literally just put us into survival mode, and we've gone into adulthood in survival mode. But that's what this episode's about. Breaking cycles, parents doing something new, and doing it without model to do so because our parents didn't. I think that's really important. So, what chaos looked like growing up to me? It wasn't chaos from the outside. It was trying to think. It wasn't chaos from the outside. I think it was a lot of fear parenting. It was a lot of emotional shutdown. I think it was a lot of that attitude, like kids should be seen, not heard. Like like not like we're molding people, but we're just things. Um, yeah, I'd say it was a lot like that. I'd say it was very. We were second class citizens. We didn't matter, even though we're growing, learning, being like we didn't matter. The adults mattered. The adult problems mattered. Not at us, not our minds, sort of thing. I think it's a lot of that. There was a lot of definitely a lot of control, and I felt that a lot in my teenage years. Obviously, when teenagers push buttons, and I definitely felt that, and I felt that as I broke away and started a family of my own as well. Um, I think it was a lot of pushing a lot of issues under the rug. So instead of dealing with things, we weren't dealing with things. Um, yeah, there's loads like being punished instead of being hard. Like now, when my kids act up, I'll sit there and think, right, so what's led up to this? What's gone on that's caused this? Where's this come from? Like I appreciate there's a reason behind it. So I set the rules, the boundaries, not even rules, the boundaries. Like you don't behave like that. You do not, just because you're angry, you don't do that. But why have you done that? Like what's made you this angry? Like, and then we sort of jump into it, and try and work out what's going on. And we didn't get that. I think it was very much a case of um, you've done something, so you're now punished. Um, I think mm, emotional needs were definitely dismissed and mocked. Like I can think of a perfect example as well, where as a young girl, um, just it was sort of preteen, and my weight was commented on. And I think when I showed signs of being upset about that, it was turned into a joke. And as innocent as that might have been at the time, it definitely come along for the journey with me. And I think that played a huge part, 100%. There was a lot of incidences like that where it was turned into a joke and it wasn't took seriously. So emotional needs definitely wasn't met. And I think as I learned in myself and my own parenting, and when I started, um, there is 100% adults that cannot regulate themselves. They are emotionally immature, and even to this day, I will happily say sometimes it feels like I'm parenting my parents and I'm the mature one in the scenario. And I think that is down to the fact that I learned to regulate my emotions. I've done the therapy, I've worked on myself, and I'm breaking that cycle, and I'm learning how to regulate the emotions that I was never taught how to regulate, but was expected to behave. I think that is a lot, and I see that sometimes with like sort of my kids and like sort of other adults in their life, where it's kind of like the adults are losing their crap at something, but then telling my kids that like, oh, I'm allowed to lose my crap at this, but you're not allowed to. Like you need to behave, you need to do that. And I think that that was entirely my upbringing. um I think as well, a lot of it was learning, it was essentially sort of trauma responses. So because I was walking around on eggshells all the time because of this sort of control environment and this sort of fear environment, I learnt to shut down. I learnt to walk on eggshells all the time, and then it would build up and I'd just explode, which is exactly what the adults were doing themselves, but that was because they were doing it and they were passing that down to me, and no one taught me better. They couldn't teach me better because they were doing it themselves. It's like, I think overall, when you look at it, I think there was a lot of moments where, like, so if there was silence in the house, there was tension. Like, you couldn't just you couldn't just have a silent house. If someone was silent, there was something going on and there was tension in the air. And I think, and then if someone was angry, they couldn't just stand there and go, "Oh, I'm so angry right now." It was screaming. It was like, "I'm angry with you right now." You know what I mean? And I think because of that, I did learn really young that my feelings weren't safe in that environment. So therefore, if I can't just be allowed to feel, I'm vulnerable. So I can't be vulnerable, and that's where a lot of these responses then come from, such as like the shutting down and and amongst other things that like disconnecting. There's so many things that I learned in therapy at a later point, um, that was like, it's a consequence of how I was raised, essentially. Um, but yeah, that was literally like, I think a lot of you will relate to that. I really do. I think that is really typical of sort of our generation's sort of childhood and how our parents parented. So hopefully you can relate. But let's move on now. Let's talk about what gentle parenting actually means. I think I think gentle parenting gives people the wrong idea. I think gentle parenting, a lot of people think that it means that you let them get away with stuff, and and you're being really soft with them and you're not correcting them, and I don't think it's about that. I think personally, it's definitely not about being soft or permissive, because I'm 100% not soft. Like, I mean, my son today alone, because he got told no, he didn't like it, and he tried to kick his sister, and he got told off for it. He 100% got told off for it, but we broke down his way of thinking, and we walked away, let him calm down, and then we built a connection before we corrected it. So it was like I connected with him on a human level, and then I sort of said, but doing that is wrong and you shouldn't do that, and that will have to have consequences because it's not allowed. So it's sort of, it's creating that connection with them so that you can correct their behaviour in a humanising way, I think, personally. So I think it's a lot more about guiding them rather than controlling them. And it's 100% teaching emotional regulation. Now that I'm able to regulate myself, I'm able to pass down so many skills. Like, I mean, with my son alone, like he can have difficulties with certain adults who can't regulate themselves in his life. And he's got to the age now where he's recognising that. and he was getting really upset by it, and I've been able to sit down with him and essentially put the power back into his hands with these adults that can't regulate their emotions, and I've been able to go, this is how we handle this. This is how you stay in control and you cut off their behaviour. Like, this is how you do that. And I think that's teaching a emotional regulation that none of our generation has. Let's face it, like we were never taught how to deal with adults that couldn't regulate, because none of the adults could regulate to teach how to deal with it. And I think so, me being able to teach it is so valuable to them, and hopefully valuable in the long term. And they won't have to figure it out alone like I've had to do through therapy. And I think another amazing thing is I just naturally model it now. Like, because I'm regulated, I'm not flying off the handle, and I'm using techniques with not just the children but everyone around me, that the children are able to take in and build on. And I think that's what gentle parenting is about as well. I feel it, and obviously 100%, like I mentioned a moment ago, it is 100% about seeing the need behind the behaviour, like the reason that behaviour occurs in the first place, understanding that there's usually a build up to a behaviour, and if you can work out the build up, you can dismantle the behaviour from the root rather than trying to shove a plaster on the behaviour essentially. And I think it's not even just about their behaviour though, it's teaching them how to hold their own boundaries, remain calm in situations, not become threats themselves, and not feel threatened, so that they're not living in sort of a survival mode either. I think the perfect example as well is like when one of them has a meltdown now, I don't just punish them straight up. I let them calm down. Once they've calmed down, I'll sit with them. I'll help them understand what they're feeling. I'm not feeling for them. And then we can sort of talk about what went wrong, what led up to it, how it happened. Like, if there was a behaviour in that meltdown that was wrong, we could explain why that's wrong and how we can not do it next time. And I think that's what gentle parenting is. Like, it's not stopping the behaviour through fear, is it? It's stopping the behaviour through understanding the behaviour to begin with. If they understand themselves, then we can make better choices at the end of the day. So I think the hardest thing though about all of this is the fact that our generation is 100% doing it without a damn blueprint, which means we're going to get it wrong somewhere along the line, but we're setting the stage for better in the future as well, because they're going to start learning skills and they're going to continue to learn skills every generation down. I think that's what's so amazing about it. But it's like I've sort of said, like, I weren't taught emotional regulation at all. I had to teach it to myself. I had to go to therapy. I had to work out where I was going wrong. And it's like, and I had no one telling me I was going wrong, because no one thinks I was going wrong, because they're all in the same boat essentially. And it's like, and it's so hard, like, because of that, because I think that takes a lot of work. I mean, a lot of what we learn in childhood and how we're parented really ingrains into it, and to get off your own backside essentially and go, now I've got to do better than this, like something's not right, right here, I need to work out what it is, I need to go forward and change this. I think that's a huge challenge in itself for a lot of people. And I think, and then you've got to put in the hard work, you've got to break those ingrained habits, those things that like other parents haven't had to do, sort of thing. And like, and if you're an emotionally regulated adult, because you had an emotionally regulated adult when you was a child, that behaviour is just ingrained in second nature to you. I mean, when I started working on it, I think it took me months before I started doing it like subconsciously. Started like up until then it was hard work because I had to think about it and be really conscious about it. And it physically wears you out because you're just constantly thinking. I think because of that as well, like those instincts in you as well are like to shout, shut up, and to punish your child, like, and lash out at your child, sort of thing, because that's what you learn and that's what got ingrained. Like you're fighting against that, like, and that's a very aggressive thing to fight against with yourself. And it's like it's also the fact that you've got to constantly unlearn and then relearn, like as you're parenting. You're not doing it before, you're doing it while you're parenting, because you've not learned that that's a thing up until you realise it has to be a thing. And it's like, so you're doing this in real time, which is something generations haven't done yet. And not only that, like, but like I said, you're battling with old wiring, and and you're not only staying calm for like yourself, you need, like, you know, like if you're with another adult, if you muck up and you sort of lash out by accident and you go back on that rewiring, it's okay, you can quickly, you know, you can go back and fix that because it's an adult. But it's like you have to rewire and stay calm, because it's for a child, it's for someone else who's growing and learning in that moment. And I think that makes it incredibly hard as well. And I think it's like a perfect example is like my son will kick off a lot. He's learned, like, and again, this is from me, I sort of discussed this in the episode before, but it's like my first instinct a lot of the time is to sort of shout at him and just shut it down, like, and I think when I think about it, I think I know that's my dad and what I was taught from my dad, and that's not me. So I have to really sit there, breathe, think, and it's definitely learning to, and I can't stress this enough for people. I try and stress this so much with my children as well. It's respond, not react. It's like you're sitting, when you react, it's coming from an emotional place. It's the worst thing you can do, and that's what the dysregulation is. It's about sitting there, letting it sit there a moment, really thinking about the situation, what's going on, how you can deal with it, and responding to that appropriately in the moment rather than just reacting out of emotions. I think it's very hard when you've grew up in a house where it is just react to not react. I think it is really, really hard, but we're doing it. I think I'm going to touch a little bit, I think, on guilt and grief, though, because I think this is really important when it comes to gentle parenting. And I think it's hard because you've got to grieve the parent in you that you needed but you didn't get. Like, it's like I've had to sort of grieve over the fact that, like, who I am now, who I've become now, with all the hard work and everything I've done, that was the parent I needed. I mean, but my inner child's so happy that I'm the parent that I needed myself for my children now, with hard work. And I think it comes with a lot of guilt as well, because you do slip. Like I said, a lot of what we do is so ingrained that you do slip. And I think you can feel really guilty about it. You really can. But it's taking a pause moment and thinking, this is going to happen. But the difference is, I'm not doing this all the time. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm changing, I'm doing better, and owning it. Just tell them you feel bad because you did slip. And it's like, and tell them you're gonna do better. It shows you're human. It shows that you're vulnerable with them. It opens up so much for them if you do. And not even slipping into old patterns, but realizing, I think a big part of it is realizing how hard or how you were with your kids before you started gentle parenting. And I think the guilt you can feel for that is immense, but you go remember you didn't know at the time either. You're doing better now because you made the damn effort to go and change that, and no one showed you how to do it. How are you? You should be damn proud of yourself that no one showed you. No one thought there was anything with your parenting. You decided to do that. You got off your backside. You fixed it. You worked it out. You went forward. You grew. You did amazing. Do you know what I mean? I think you need to let go of that guilt and realise actually you're damn amazing for doing it. Oh, and then throw in the fact that like you want to get it right. You need to be the one that gets it right. It's the pressure, and you can feel so much pressure for that. You need to let it go though, because as much as we want to get it right, it, it's like you've got to look at where you've come from. Like I just said, it's amazing that you've done it off your own back anyway. And I think the fact that you want to get it right is damn amazing anyway, but you need to accept that you're not going to get it right. You're going to get it wrong occasionally. You're going to slip into old ways. You need to accept that. You need to remember you're doing better, you're growing, you're on it. And as well as that, let's face it, there's a lot of pain associated with the fact that you've got to parent yourself at the same time. You've got to essentially be the parent that your child self needed. And I think that's a good reminder as well, to be fair. Like, remind yourself, like, if that was you right now, what would you need? And I think that's really good to think, that 100%. So, but I think you're going to carry a lot of guilt, a lot of grief on the journey. I think but it's accepting a lot of it that makes the difference. I mean, because I used to like snap a lot, and then I'd sort of cry after because I felt bad about it, and I know deep down that he didn't deserve it. Um, and because I knew deep down that he didn't deserve it, like it absolutely crippled me inside, because I just hated the way that I spoke to him. And in a weird way, that self hate just feeds into it as well. And I mean, then you sort of realise that it's starting to seem like your childhood. And I think that's definitely like when I started making those associations as well. That's definitely when I knew that something needed to change. I needed to work on something. And it's really hard. But this bit might help some of you. So this is literally what helped keep me going. What I do, what I did, all of the things that built to make this journey a whole lot easier. So journaling, 100%, absolutely amazing, because I'm able to unpack reactions and spot patterns. And in fact, when I journal, but therapy was amazing as well. When you look at therapy, interpersonal therapy per se, because it's looking at relationships, interpersonal relationships, doing that therapy really helps you to spot patterns and really unpack those reactions, definitely. And I think, like I kind of said, you need to say sorry when you do mess up. And I think that teaches your kids a lot more than, just being able to say sorry. And like I mentioned before, visualizing your inner child, like it's like if you visualize your inner child, would you punish you or would you comfort you? I think that can make a huge difference in how you approach your child. But it's 100% as well, like micro moments of connection with them. It's laughter, eye contact, play. It's being with them and enjoying being with them. And I think also a huge one, and I see this a lot in people that haven't done the work and are emotionally dysregulated. It's remembering that they're not an item to control and they're not an extension of you. They are little human beings, and we are here to guide them and help them find themselves. We're not creating them, we're helping them find themselves, and we're guiding them to do that. I think that's really important, and I think that's something that a lot of like our parents' generation and even some of our generation kind of forget. So definitely, yeah. But just a few final words before we go, because this has been another long one. Remember, you are doing the hardest parent job there is. You're changing the script from scratch. We're doing it little by little. We're working on ourselves and we're doing better, and that is what matters. And we don't need to be perfect, we just need to be present. We need to work on ourselves, get better, and be present. We do not need to be perfect. I think breaking the cycles definitely doesn't look like calm parenting every day at all. I think it looks like learning awareness, self-awareness, repairing, trying again. Like literally, it looks a lot like us as well. It looks like working on us. I think if you're here and you're definitely feeling what I've said, you're 100% a cycle breaker, and that is already enough. Like, do it. You have got this in the bag, literally. But for now, I will bid you farewell, and I will see you for the last episode of this series. Let me know if you like the series, and let me know if you want me to do more, and I will see you soon.